I've tested pretty much every single treadmill from NordicTrack in the last few years, and with Black Friday, Cyber Monday upon us, now is a really good time of year to pick up a treadmill. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing my top 3 picks for this year's Black Friday, Cyber Monday event. Let's get cracking. As always, I will put a link in the description that will take you straight to NordicTrack's website, and you'll get their great deals there. As a special thank you, because using my link helps me out, I'll put my top 3 money saving tips in there as well when you're using this website that will save you even more money. At least 2 of those tips aren't in this video. When it comes to treadmills, they have a lot. So you've got the X series, which is essentially a replacement of the incline series. You've got the commercial series treadmills, which I think are probably the best treadmills for the vast majority of users. I'm not going to talk about the T series treadmills in this video because they're more of a starter point. And I think I kind of live by the philosophy of buy once, cry once. Get the thing that you really want the first time round, even if it's expensive. I've done it with Pelotons, where I bought a spin bike and put an iPad at the end and thought I'd crack the code. Sold all that at a loss and ended up buying a Peloton. If you're going to take anything from this video, just buy the thing you really want. So the Ultra series is new. These are really expensive. I'm going to exclude these as well because I feel like they're probably beyond most people's price points for home use, and I've yet to test one. So I'm going to concentrate on the X series and the commercial series, and my pick in the commercial series is the 1750. So I think this is the kind of pinnacle for price versus value. It really is a fantastic treadmill, and I was very happy when I tested this treadmill. Now you will see on this treadmill on the US site, it's $19.99 at the moment. So NordicTrack's prices are a little fluid, so that may change by the time you look at the site. So it is the 25% more for the 2450. And I think this is one of the reasons why this is such great value. The 1250 has a 10-inch screen. I would say for the extra 200, at least come up to the 16-inch screen. NordicTrack's 16-inch and 24-inch screens for 2025 are absolutely superb. Previous to that, they had the same screens on the 2022 machines. These were good. These new ones are great. The best tablets I've used on any connected fitness equipment. And when I compare these treadmills, let me show you why the 1750 is such good value. So it's got the same pivoting mechanism as the 2450. So that means when you're working off the treadmill, you can rotate the screen. And if you're doing yoga, for instance, or strength training next to the machine, you can just turn that screen around. It also has the same incline and decline. So if you look here, you can see that it's got 12% incline and a -3 decline, same as the 2450. It has the same run flex cushioning. I get injured really easily on treadmills. That plus I'm closer to 60 than 40 doesn't help either, but that's a different story. Touch wood, I have never had an injury on a run flex technology NordicTrack treadmill in the years that I've been using them. They are just so easy on the body. It is just, they're just so good to use. So the footprint is the same as a 2450. And one thing that I really think is impressive is when you come down here to the motor size, which they've kind of hidden in this comparison here, but let's go back up to the specs of this machine. So you can see that this has got a 4.25 continuous horsepower motor, and that has a lifetime warranty, which is just, well, excellent. The previous generation of the 1750 had a 3.5 continuous horsepower motor, and it didn't feel underpowered at all. In fact, that was a very good motor. I was surprised for 2025 when they upped this to 4.25 continuous horsepower. But one of the biggest advantages with this 4.25 continuous horsepower motor is the speed changes. So if you're doing interval changing when you're going from say 6 miles an hour to 3 miles an hour to back up to 6 miles an hour in quick succession, previously, if those intervals are quite short, that 3.5 CHP motor may take most of the interval time to reach speed or slow down again, whereas this motor is just like that. It's superb. And if I come up to the 2450 and then I go to the specs on this one, you will see that it's that same motor. So for several $100s or pounds less, you're getting the same super comfortable 22 by 60-inch running belt, plus this same really powerful motor, plus the same great software, plus these new state-of-the-art tablets. If I just head over to the UK site for a second, obviously the same treadmills are on here, and the price is 25% more, again for the 2450 over the 1750, and only £100 more to go from the 1250 up to the 1750. As I mentioned, wherever you are in the world, I will link to your local NordicTrack website, and along with those tips to save you some money on your treadmill purchases. Now, my best overall pick for the Black Friday sale this year, and my best overall pick for a treadmill for NordicTrack. Now, I'm not saying saying this is the best treadmill they make. The best treadmill is the Ultra, which I haven't used one. They look absolutely fantastic. If you're looking at something like the Ultra One, then that is currently $15,000. If you haven't got Ultra One money, then you might want to look at the Ultra 3, which is only $7,000, which does seem a lot for a home treadmill. As I've mentioned, if I can get testing one of these, I will do, and I will let you know how good they are. So for the vast majority of users, I think the NordicTrack 2450 is the perfect treadmill. If I had a NordicTrack 2450 and I was using that was my last treadmill, I'd be very happy with that treadmill. So that gives you everything that the 1750 does. And if you've got this extra 500 budget, then I think it's a no-brainer to upgrade. And there's two reasons for this. Now, the secondary reason is that although it's got the same motor as the 1750, it's got a higher top speed. So the 1750 can go up to 12 miles an hour, which is 5-minute miles, if you can run a 5-minute mile. And the 2450 can do a 14 miles an hour, which is something like 4 minutes, 17 seconds a mile, I think, something ridiculous like that. However, the main reason to upgrade is the screen size. So it takes the 16-inch tablet that's on the 1750 and that upgrades that to a 24-inch tablet. To put that into perspective, that is a 50% bigger screen. And because NordicTrack treadmills are very much about these outdoor immersive workouts, having them on a 24-inch screen does make a difference. And I would go as far as to say that I normally use a cinema analogy. So if you go to see a film and you realize that your film isn't on screen 1, you've not gone in the first week of release, it's now on screen 3, and you go into screen 3, the screen's clearly smaller, but half an hour in or 10 minutes in, you're into the movie and you can't really tell anymore. That's the difference between the 2450 with its 24-inch screen and the 1750 with its 16-inch screen. So the 16-inch screen is very, very good. The 2450 is better by pure virtue that it's 50% bigger. So in the US, if you've seen, currently this is $24.99. In the UK, you're looking at $2,499 for the 2450. Going back to buy once, cry once, because they have exactly the same footprint, they fold up, they are, apart from screen size and top speed, as far as I can tell anyway, they are identical treadmills. And I've had both in my gym. You can't tell the difference apart from that screen size. I think the biggest question to ask yourself is, are you going to buy a 2450 and wish you'd bought the 1750? And I can guarantee the answer to that is no. You're not going to get on a treadmill with a 24-inch screen, be running up or hiking up Mount Fuji in Japan wishing the screen was smaller. Will you get on a treadmill with a 16-inch screen and have it in the back of your mind that you should have gone for the 24-inch screen? What would that experience be like? If the answer to that is no, if you're a sensible adult, then get the 1750. If you think it might play on your mind, then the 2450. Now, the other thing I want to discuss before I move on to my best premium pick is iFIT membership. And I'm going to show you this. If you're in Europe, for instance, it will be, I think I'm in Europe. Am I in Europe? I don't know if we're still in Europe. I'm sure we must be. So if you're in Europe or you're in Canada, for instance, you'll be on the Canadian site, which I'll link you to. But this is the US site. And I want to talk about another way to save money, which is with your membership. So if you look at the monthly membership, it's $39 a month. And if I just switch to the UK, it's $34 a month. Sorry, £34 a month, which is about $39. One of the things that I really like about NordicTrack and their membership prices, or iFIT and their membership prices, is they take into account the difference, like the conversion from one currency to another. With Peloton, it's like $45 or it's £45. And £45 is closer to maybe $55, $60. So if you're in the UK with a Peloton, I'm not bashing Peloton, I do really like Peloton, you're paying comparatively more than someone in the States, for instance, for your membership. So iFIT do make that adjustment. So if $39 a month for your membership, I don't think it's expensive, because you get up to 5 users, and not only have you got the running workouts, you've got yoga, you've got Pilates, you've got meditations, you've got a whole suite of connected fitness workouts that are constantly updated. I think there's well over 10,000 workouts, and that's for up to 5 users, and that can easily replace your gym membership. But I also know that nobody likes subscription. Where you can really save money with your membership is to start adding longer terms to it. So for example, £39 a month, but if you were to buy a 3-year membership, which is one of the best ways to save money, and I'm going to show you what I did in a second. That saves you an awful lot of money. So if I were to look at a 3-year, so $899 divided by 36 months. So that takes your membership down from $39 a month to $24.97. That is quite a considerable saving, and that makes this iFIT software, which runs on the NordicTrack treadmills, even more appealing, really. Of course, you need to make sure you're going to use the machine for 3 years. So you might say, look, I'm going to start monthly, and then later on I might upgrade in the next sale to pay annually, or 2 years or 3 years, for instance. But right now you're looking at $899 for a 3-year membership. So I'm on the UK site, that's $799 for a 3-year membership. If I just get my calculator up again, 799 divided by 36, that makes it $22.19 for membership. I locked in a 2-year membership about 18 months ago, so I've only got about 6 months left on it, unfortunately, and I locked that price in at, I think it was £17 a month. So when you look at the price it is now, that's half the price that it would be if I'd have gone onto a monthly membership now. Right, so I feel like we're going at a good pace. Let's move on to my best premium pick. Now, excludes the Ultra models. This is ones that you more likely to have in your house. Although I've yet to use an Ultra one, I might get on it and go, wow, this is the best thing ever. But I've currently got an X series treadmill in my home gym, and I've got the X24 treadmill. If you're deciding between the X24 treadmill, which is $3,299, so I mean, the extra 10% for the 24-inch screen over the 16. Let's look at the UK site, but I've got something to tell you about this. The UK site, it's a little bit more of a difference, so it's an extra 500, so 15% more to go from the 16 to the 24-inch screen. With this range, the numbers denote the screen size. They don't on the Studio series or the commercial series treadmills. If I look at the specs of this treadmill, and this is like why I think the 1750, the first treadmill I talked about, is so good for price versus value, is because when you look at the motor on this premium treadmill, this incline series treadmill, it's the same motor that's in the 1750. And I reached out to NordicTrack and I said to them, look, it looks like it's the same motor in the 1750 as the X24 treadmill, and they confirmed that it was. It's also the same tablet that's on the 2450. So to give you some idea of how good value the 2450 as well. So the motors and the tablets carry over into these X series treadmills. And as you can see, it's got a 12 mile an hour top speed here. And this treadmill is very comfortable to run on. So this has spring flex cushioning on the treadmill. So in the commercial 1750 and the 2450 with their run flex technology, treadmills that I have never had an injury on, that is 9 out of 10 comfort to run on. It is exceptionally good to run on. I don't have any calf problems. I don't have any knee problems. My hips are happy as well on those commercial series treadmills. If they're 9 out of 10 comfort, then this spring flex technology on the incline series treadmills is 10 out of 10 comfort. The commercial series treadmills, the 1750 and the 2450, are the best treadmills, most comfortable treadmills I've used in a home setting. And the X series treadmills with the spring flex technology is the most comfortable treadmills I've run on, period, domestically or commercially. There are a couple of things to consider with this treadmill though, and the first thing is that it doesn't fold. So although it's shorter, it comes into the room less than the 2450 and the 1750, it's kind of there. It's going to be there all the time. And where they have a 10-inch step up height, this has a 13.6-inch step up height. It's also taller as well, and you will need more ceiling height as well when you're using this treadmill because of the incline. So let me show you the incline on this treadmill. So the incline on these treadmills is an amazing 40-degree incline, and it's hard to explain how steep that is. To give you an example, one of my favorite hiking series is the Mount Fuji one, and what I was finding is with these hiking series, I was getting into zone 5 cardio, dripping with sweat at maybe 1.5 miles an hour, just because this incline is so steep. And because you're getting a sweat on at a lower speed, it's actually easier on the body as well. So if you've got joint issues, providing you can make it up that 13.6-inch step, then if you can get a real sweat on when you're walking instead of running, then that's obviously slightly better for your body. The other thing that I find as I'm going to say established adult, I'm not old, is that when you've got this on incline, the incline, instead of being -3 as it is in the commercial series, goes all the way down to -6. So this really helps with balance. So if you're walking down a steep hill, rather than just walking is essentially falling forward, isn't it? If you're walking down a steep hill, you're like this and you're really having to control your balance, use a different set of muscles to keep yourself upright and stopping you sort of falling forward on the treadmill. So in conclusion, in 2022, we saw really big upgrades in NordicTrack's equipment, and they moved more to this Z-shaped design with their treadmills, and they looked a lot better. Previously, I wasn't a huge fan of NordicTrack's treadmills. I don't think they looked that good, although I knew they were excellent, but they really took a leap forward in hardware in 2022. These 2025 machines, though, are another step forward. So I feel like they've really refined the hardware now. If you were to go on a 2022 machine and a 2025 machine, although they may both be, say, 2450s, you would certainly notice a difference, I think. And these tablets that they brought in for 2025, they are just exceptional. As I've mentioned, iFIT have also moved the software from iFIT to iFIT 2. I think for most people, the 1750 will be fine. You'll be very happy with it. It is an exceptionally good treadmill. I think if you have got the budget, I would be tempted to go up for the 2450 with its larger screen, unless you particularly want incline training, like proper incline training at 40 degrees, for instance. I think the 2450 could be the sweet spot, and is typically year on year my pick for NordicTrack treadmills, because although you've only got 12% incline, that is still pretty steep. And if you're doing a hike, for instance, you can actually go slightly faster. So rather than going on a really steep hike slowly, you can go on a moderate hike faster and still get the same great workout. Well, I hope you found this video useful. It is such a hard decision to make. If you want to know my picks for bikes for this year on NordicTrack's Black Friday sale, then watch this video here. YouTube also thinks that you'll probably like this video as well. Until next time, see you soon.